Hello YouTube, this is Rank208. So, it's getting the ice fishing season and it's really late this year for North Idaho. It's like the latest I've ever seen the ice forming. Last year it was in early November. This year we're just now getting safe ice. So, wanted to show you what I'm taking out for early ice this year. Now, my main focus is bait. Catching my bait for pike. Because that's what the majority of my fishing is going to be this winter. Is going out to my local lake over at Hayden Lake. On the backside of Sportsman's, as everyone likes to call it around here. And fish for large northern pikes. Early morning I'll switch up for a little bit of northern pike and some crappie. But right now it's just catching perch for pike. But I'm going to go over what I've got. At most I'll be taking with me in my little Jet Sled Junior. I'm going to have at least 5 to 6 tip-ups for pike. And a few for perch. I'll use some of the pike ones for the perch, just so that it's easy to carry around. Last year I got my personal best, a 34-inch, 8-pound, and something northern pike. Really messed up jaw. This side of his jaw, the right side, was busted. So he was real skinny. Caught it on this little guy. It's the Polar Therm Extreme Big Game Tip Up by HT. I had to do slight modifications on this one, but I've got it set up right now where I could do pike if need be. All I have to do is switch out this little swivel with the line that's on it, because there's like I think maybe 20 inches or so of 4-pound mono with a small little, I think it's size 16 treble for trout. I've got it set up for trout out at Avondale. Gotta try to get some good eaters out of there. So this would be one of my pike tip-ups. It does keep the hole thawed out. I'm going to try using some mineral oil of some sort to keep it a little opened. Not too much mineral oil. Next tip up for pike and, in this case, perch, is going to be this little trade bill. Most of my pike tip-ups will have up to 40-pound to 50-pound test braid or Dacron. I do have a couple that are on the thin side, but these two tip-ups that I just showed had their first usage this winter. Went out and got 64 perch. Now, mind you, that's not going to last me this whole winter because I'm helping out some friends who aren't going to be able to get out this winter and get their perch. So that's why I'm doing a lot of perch fishing for bait. Okay, next one, this is just a pike one, is going to be my South Bend. Now I believe that this is 50-pound. It might be bigger, but this is going to be one of my pikes. Okay, perch and trout. Gotta reach behind you. Boing. This little guy has 50-pound braid for, well, the Dacron stuff for pike. Found a slight problem with it. This barely covers a 6-inch hole. So I'm gonna hope to God I don't have any large pike that can't fit through it, or I'm gonna have to drill a second hole. But right now I have it set up to fish for perch and This little guy came a long way to get to my little bag of tackle. Ukraine. Thank you, Ukraine, for making some very interesting tip-ups. Now, this one I love so far. Haven't found a single negative in it yet. You can take the flag off real easy. Goes in a little hole here, comes out here, and stops on a little stopper here. Real easy to take out. Perfect for storage. But wait. It gets better. I can now compact this once larger odd-shaped tip-up quite small for storage purposes. And actually, there is one issue. If this area right in here gets a lot of water and ice on it, it don't come out. But it's got a solid piece right here, a nice good little running system so that you can actually, if the fish pulls it either way, it's going to go there and not rub on the ice. And you can pull this off and start yanking up on your line to get your fish in. Hopefully I'll get some blood on this year, either with pike or perch. If I catch a trout on it, I catch a trout. Okay, another pike. This guy. It's an old standard. I'm running a, I think it's a stinger rig. It's where you got two lines. Let me see if I can pull this off real quick. Okay, I guess not. But it's two lines connected to a swivel and then down to your bait. This is going to be for my larger pike because this is, I know for a fact, at least 60 to 50 pound braid. Because I put it on there a while ago. This one's done me okay throughout the years. Had to replace the flag. The old one just poofed. So I just took some yellow flagging tape and just kind of tied it on there. Another pike one that I've got set up right now. Oops, wrong one. It's kind of my attempt at fixing the flag. It works okay. I've got, I believe, 12-pound mono with a blue 4-pound leader. And I've got a little jig on there for trout, perch, whatever. But I can switch that up to pike with just a little tinkering. Now, this one is my perch and trout one because it's got 4-pound mono throughout the whole thing and an itty bitty little jig. Now here's a tip for all you fishermen who buy these. Run staples, because I know there's at least like these little tiny staples that come with the thing, but I like to run 2 to 3 staples all the way down. The second thing I do is I buy these little eyelet screws and I put it at the bottom so that when in the hole or whatever, the fish have to pull it from the bottom. And less chance of it coming off the side. And I do that with most of my wooden tip-ups like these. For instance, one that I can't is this one. I'd have to add on a section of wood right here. So this one unfortunately will have that unfortunate ability of, if the fish runs sideways, he could pull the line off without setting off the flag. 2 more tip-ups for pike. This one. done pretty good on. Now I have another tip up that I'll grab later. It was my Lucky Charm 2 years ago. It caught me over 9 pike on it, and it's running with 17-pound mono and a number 6 treble. I don't know what it is about this glow-in-the-dark number 6 trebles, but it worked for me the last few years. Okay, now, here's a homemade one. This one is for small fish, perch, trout, just your little bitty guy. I've got 8-pound mono, the clear, and the 4-pound blue mono. This one's a tip down, so this will sit above the hole, fish bites, pulls it, and these little stops stop on about a size 12 hole. They'll go through it if not careful. So it sits there and just kind of wiggles and lets me know. Now to my final pike tip up, followed by one more homemade tip up for panfish. My little windlass tip up. Right now I have it set up for trout and or perch. So far haven't got any large game fish on it. I think the biggest I've gotten right now to date would have to be a rainbow trout. And I got a little foam bobber that I'm going to run mineral oil down to keep it able to jig and de-iced, because it's got a pretty good size hole. So that's my last pike tip up. That's for just a little bit of action. Okay. Now the last tip up I have is also a tip down. PVC stand. So it sits flat. This is how it's going to look on top of the ice. I have it to where, if I can get it situated, right there. Fish grabs the thing. Actually, just let me unhook this and I'll really show you how this bugger works, because I'm actually pleased with it. I recommend trying to make some of these guys for yourselves, because they work so simple. You just loosen it up just a smidge, just enough so that a fish can pull, but not strip your line. So this one's a little too loose. You just want it to where it barely moves. Now I've taken an old spool, put a little nut and bolt and washer on here for a handle. I put a ton of nuts and bolts, one bolt, through the center, and a bunch of nuts and washers, and one zip tie. Keeps it from wiggling too much. Taking one of those little flag that you see the construction people making, little marks on the ground with. Glued on a couple belts for sound. Stapled up to here and pointed, like just a 90-degree turn on the thing. Put 2 eyelet screws. Now this board used to be to a tip-up that busted. So some of these components are still from the tip-up. Took a nut and, a bolt and 3 nuts. Super glued the top nut and the 2 middle ones. These are your little boards. So, and I've got a little mark here. So it's going to sit just like this. Let's see if I can get it from frame better. Fish will grab it, start jiggling, which you can hear the bell. And I've got it to where they cannot pull this thing off of the stand. But I can sit here and just go up and down. And a set like this, I have very good hopes for this. I'm running with 15-pound braid as kind of a filler, and 4-pound test as the good main line. So it's not very much. Oops, I got a little bit of a tangle going on here. It does reel like any other fishing reel, so that comes in handy. And I do have a swivel further down in the reel for in case a fish pulls it. And they do fit through, the swivel fits through the 2 eyelets, so I'm not too worried about any problems. And this does collapse down. These are just, I believe, 1-inch PVC pipes plus connectors. So you just, as you can see, you only need 3 T connectors, a lot of little chunks. You can have these however long you want, and this however high you want. Okay. Now for rods. I'm sure some of these have been old repeats, some are new. My inline, I did a review on this. I did wish that there was like a quick release on that. This would just drop your line down instead of you having to strip it off. I love how easy it rolls in, but it's just the whole pulling the line out, and yeah, it causes a lot of problems. It takes too much time to get down to the bottom. But boy, can you reel up fast. Now, I'm running this with about 4-pound test, and I'm using a J&B. Do I have a packet? No, I do not. I've thrown it away. I got it. A J&B Devil Tongue spoon. I believe that's what it was. It was in the December 2016 ice fishing box, which I got this year. If you guys want me to do reveals, like unboxings for the mystery tackle box, let me know in the comments and I will do those. But yeah, this is just a little bitty spoon. I have high hopes for it. It is in copper, and the little leaf guy in the middle right there that's jiggling is silver, so it should do pretty good for the perch and whatnot at my local lakes, because I've noticed that they really love gold over chartreuse or anything else. Okay, next one. Oops. I gotta get my billy club out of the way. That's for pike. Do not ask me what rod this is. It is a collapsible to a point. I have added a small spring bobber onto it. This is just one of those little cheapy eBay collapsibles. I have a little Frabill P10 reel with 4-pound test. I have a Kender jig on in gold, which I really love, and this little bitty plastic, I don't know what it is. I got it a while back kind of as a fluke, and I'm gonna try it out. What rod do we have next? Spike. Okay, I believe this is actually the reel that this goes, the rod that reel went to. Okay, so I have, yep. So the reel from that other pull goes on to this one, but I've kind of put something else on there. Okay, so it's a Frabill rod. It's a 26-inch light action, and I've added a small little spring tip. I'm running, I think, 2 to 3 pound test on this. a little small split shot, and a micro trout magnet. Like, I'm talking tiny. Let me grab a nickel. This thing is literally smaller than your normal trout magnets. I actually have some panfish magnets, which you can see are a lot bigger. These are about also close to your same size as your normal trout magnets or anything like that. So it's nice to have a variety of sizes. And I got the red one to imitate a small bloodworm since it is so small. Yeah, so that's the next rod. We have a little homemade one. It's a little tangled up in one of my bigger rods. Okay. Bait's kind of dead on here from last fishing trip. I took a fishing pole that had busted that had a very fine action tip, almost spring bobber tip. I put it on a little wood dowel, put 3 little nails and an eyelet screw and a little bit of foam and a lot of super glue. Well, not super glue, hot glue to make a tapper. And I'm running 4 to 2 pound test on this one. Right now I just have a tiny, and I mean tiny, little kind of like water boatman fly on there. And I'm just slowly just jiggling this in the shallows. It's been working pretty good. I've caught quite a bit of fish on it. Biggest fish so far was a 2 pound largemouth bass. And that was a pain in the butt. Okay, next rod. It's my little bit bigger rod. It's mainly for my bass and large perch and crappie if need be. I have 3 pound, it's almost like a braid kind of ice line with a tiny swivel and a jigging wrap, shad wrap, well, it's a UV version, but it's orange, yellow, and white. Oh, I love it. I do have a 4 pound leader again. The rod is a Northland rod. I love it. It's got really good backbone. Oh yeah, the reel from that one, this pull, was another HT reel. And this one is a Quantum Snapshot. It's okay, I've had to fix the back and forth release, where you can go this way or backwards. Long story short, it had busted out, so I had to steal that part from another rod and reel. Okay, another oldie, another old rod, another one of the Frabill P10 reels. I love them. They work good for trout, most of your good fish. I love it during the spring for panfish. Okay, and the reel is the HT Ice Blues 24 inch. I have 3 pound, I think it's Vicious. Yeah, 3 pound, is it? Yeah, 3 pound Vicious, 100 yard spool, and I'm using a Celsius tungsten jig, which I've tipped with its plastic that came with it. This is my get down quick, get into the school and start jigging the crap out of them. I had, I think it was 3 pound nanofill on it before, and that stuff was just clumping up on the reel too much, so switched it out. Lastly, excuse me. Last one for fishing reels that I'm going to be using mainly is one that I just picked up, and I've already fallen in love with it. It's got the perfect little handle. It fits perfect in my hand, and I just love it. It's a Frabill, another 24-inch light action. It's got 4-pound test on it. And the reel is also a Frabill Sub-Zero rod. And it's got some really good backbone to it. Like, I'm talking, this is what I'm seeing on most of my fish that I bring in. Now, the lure that I'm using on it, it's kind of a funny one. I picked it up at my local tackle shop, Fins and Feathers tackle shop. It's a little bitty guy. He looks kind of like a little minnow. The only thing I've had to do was added an extra split ring and changed out the hook. Now, the company that makes this little guy, you know your Silver Johnson weedless spoons for your pike and large bass? They make ice fishing now. So I'm really excited about that. This little guy has come in such good handy this year already. This last fishing trip, which was a couple days ago, came out off the lake with 60-something perch. And most of them were caught on this rod and one other. It's perfect. It's light. Real light. So it comes in handy. Let's see. So, now we're going to get in the odds and ends of weird stuff. Gaff hook, took a very large circle hook. I think this was one of those Tricon hooks. Put that on there, bent the barb down for quick and easy stabbies. Put some zip ties on the handle so I can grip it a little better and pull the fish up. This used to be one whole thing. It used to be a pool cue. Excuse me. Unfortunately, broke it. Didn't even get home from the store before it broke. So I've turned the handle into a billy club to knock out pike, and I've turned pretty much the part that hit the ball into a ice gaff. It's missing about, let's see, about that much. It wasn't a very big pool cue. So that's the biggie. I have 2 augers with 2 more on the way. I have a size 8 and a size 6 with another size 8 and a size 4 on the way. Its little bitty stick is my measuring stick. I have 20 zip ties going up this. So I can measure the ice, and I'll use this bottom one as the measuring, and this top one would be considered my 19th inch. So if it touches the bottom, it can be used for like measuring fish for 20 inches. And if I'm checking ice, it's 19 inches. So it's always good to have one of these. The fun part is I can move the bottom one to check the ice with. And right now, I'm barely fishing on 3 pegs, with this one being at the bottom of the ice. I'm like right in here. So yes, I am fishing on very thin ice, and I have been taking precautions. I have out in my other sled a rope system with, I took one of these pool noodles, multi-purpose. One of them, put rope through it and put a glass jar with a lid on it on the end so that you can literally get some weight and throw it out there with some rope on it. That way you can rescue people if they fall through. The other purpose is you can store your leaders for pike. I'm sure these leaders are going right about down here somewhere in there. These are all kind of a funky hook. How do I say this? Let me pull one out. These are number 4s and number 6 hooks. Seeing if these will do better for hook and pike. Like having this as the stinger hook, or these two as the outside. But I got a few of those, and I have a quick strike rig in here as well. Ice ladles. Dime a dozen, you can pick one. You can even get a kitchen version. This is the oldest one I've got. It's lasted me quite a few years. If it was a plastic handle, they break way too easily. So always buy yourself the metal variant, because the plastic ones tend to break right here. And eventually these will break from old age and repeated thwacks. This one, I don't know, but I'm going to try. Okay. Now, the fun part. I got to move all these little bitty guys. Always have yourself a cooler or some form of thing to store your fish. In this case, I'll be storing a little bit of tackle in it and then storing fish. So, I actually have a tape measure in here. I will measure my diameter of my cooler. It is about a 13 inch by 15 or so inches cooler. I have a little lunch pail. Well, actually not really little, but pretty good sized lunch pail for my tackle for ice fishing. It has pike gear, trout, panfish. I even got catfish gear in here. Front pouch is for my bags of plastics. Like just little bitty guys. And yeah, I'll store bait in here sometimes, like maggots, like Strike Masters pucks. This is a double-sided puck. I love it to a degree. They have these 2 little holes on either side. You set this on the ice, water will seep in here, get whatever you have in here wet. If you have maggots, you're going to have sawdust or some kind of filler